So we're building kind of a long signal filter and a short signal filter here. When the close of the bar is within this range here, so 50 to 250 points, right, either above the prior day close, right, or 50 to 250 points below the prior day close. All right, so there's our question. All right, so there's the prior day indicator. All right, so we have the prior day close indicator on the chart. So that's our white dashed line there. So at least it'll be dashed when you stretch out the chart. There we go. Okay. So we just want to know when the market, right, is within this 50 to 250 point range, right? And then we'll create a bias output, right? So this is not an actual signal. It's not a discrete trade signal. It's just a kind of a long trend or a short trend kind of bias output there. So let's get BloodHound back open. Let's go over to our logic tab, and so let me create a new logic template for this. Okay, so that's essentially the comparison that we're doing there. All right. So I think the key to this question is, how do we define this range here from 50 to 250 points? So this will require a couple of comparison solvers, right? So, the first part of the range is, obviously the current close, needs to be, more than 50 points away, right? So it has to be greater than 50 points away. So let's see here. All right, so there's a bit of a name here, right? So the close, right, the current close, right, needs to be more than 50 points, away from the prior close. So input A, that's going to be, price. That's going to be a price input. Of course, we want the close. And then input B, right, that's going to be the prior day close indicator. So input B will be the prior day indicator. All right, there you go. There's the prior day indicator. And we want to compare it to the prior close, right, the prior close plot, like so. And so next, we need to put in our difference, right? And so we want points, right? We want our measurement units in points here, right? So set that to points, and then we can plug in 50 points, like so. Right. And so the output that we want, right, is the default output here, right? So we want to know when A is greater than B by 50 points, right, or A greater than B by 50 points or more, right? So A, right, is the close, and we want the current close of the bar to be greater than B, which is the prior day close, by 50 points. And we don't actually get that today, do we? Let's see if we get that yesterday. Oh, there we go. There. So yesterday we did have that happen. So here's the prior day close way up here on top. There we go. So the prior close is at 45.05, right? And then let's see, yeah, so shortly after the market closed, the market did break that 50-point range there. Let's see if we have another example. Oh yeah. So let's see. I think this is going back to Tuesday. I think this is going to be Tuesday here. And back on Tuesday, I think this is, right, just before the market closed, it did break above 50 points away from Monday's close there. All right. So we know that this is working here. Right, and if we just wanted to double check there. So, right, so Monday's close is 44.58. So the closing price here is 45.10. So that's roughly 52 points away. Let's see. We might, yeah, you know what? Let's just so we get more examples here. Let me switch over to the NQ. Something that's has a lot more range. There we go. Yeah, so the NQ has a lot more range to it. There's lots of examples to work with. Okay. All right, so back in. Okay, so we've identified when the market or the closing price is at least more than 50 points away. So now we need to set the other limit to the range of, right, which is price needs to stay within 250 points of the prior close. So I'm going to take a little shortcut. So we already have one solver made with the 50 point. And so I'm going to take a little shortcut here and go to my solvers tab and take the solver that I already created and make a copy of it. And so this time we're looking for the close to be within, there we go, within 250 points of the prior close. All right, so let's go and adjust that to 250 points there. Now let's go back to the logic board and go to our existing nodes, and there's that new solver we just made within 250 points. Put that there. All right. And so let's see here. I wonder if we're going to get any examples. Oh, look at that. All right. Wow. Right. Now, right, so the white line is the prior close, and we can see that we're getting an output here. Yeah, so let's draw a little line. So it looks like that's roughly our 250 points away from the prior close, right? But if you notice, right, we need to identify when the close is within this area, not outside this area, right? So what that should tell us is that we need to adjust our outputs, because we don't want to know when the close is greater than the prior day close, right? So that's the wrong output there. So let's turn those off. You know, we want to know when A equals B within 250 points. So set that, right? So there we go, right? So now we can see all of these bars here, right? Because they're within this 250 point range here, right? And as soon as price goes outside or, you know, goes beyond that 250 point distance, right? There's no output over here. Only when price is within this range. So now, so we have our both of our limits, and so now when we combine them together with an AND node, we create that range. Right? So there's that is roughly, right, our 50-point offset from the prior close. So let's, where is it? There we go. There we go. So there's our roughly our range right there. Yeah, so this is the basics of how you would define a range, right? You need one comparison solver, that sets up the smaller range, right? The minimum range, and the solver that sets up the minimum range is the one that also determines the long output, right? Or the short output, so we can see that when the market is above the prior close, right, we're getting that long output, right, and that's determined by the comparison solver, that sets up the minimum range, right, and then the other comparison solver that sets up the maximum range limit, right. That is going to give us both a long and a short output there. Right. So, right, that's giving us a long and a short. Right. So it's the other comparison solver that actually determines whether we're going to get a long or a short. So, yeah. So if we wanted the reverse of this, if we wanted the opposite, so let's say we were looking for, counter trend signals within this range, looking for counter trend signals, right? Then the solver that sets up the minimum range, we would just reverse its output like so. There. Like that, right? So now we're getting a short output when the close is above the prior, when the current close is above the prior close, like so. All right, so let's put that back. There. Okay, all right, so that's Matt's question there. Pretty straightforward.